I shouldn't even be telling you this. If the people who hired me find out, I'll probably disappear just like the others. But maybe that's better than keeping it bottled up. Maybe you need to know what really happens when the sun goes down inside an abandoned amusement park. When I first took the job, I thought it was a joke. Who pays someone to guard a park that hasn't been open in 20 years? The Ferris wheel was rusted, the rides half collapsed, the concession stands gutted and stripped for scrap. There was nothing to steal, nothing worth protecting. But the man who interviewed me didn't smile once. His eyes were cold, and he spoke with a flat tone, like he was warning me rather than hiring me. "Don't leave your post between midnight and dawn," he said. "Stay inside the control shed, and no matter what you hear, don't answer." At first, I thought it was just some stupid hazing ritual, old security guards messing with the new guy. But the money was good, too good. So I agreed. My first shift started at 10 p.m. I walked the grounds with a flashlight, crunching over broken glass and leaves. The air smelled like rust and old oil. The silence was almost suffocating, broken only by the groaning of metal as the wind pushed against the skeletal rides. Then a sound cut through the night. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't an animal. It was laughter. Children's laughter. It echoed faintly from the direction of the merry-go-round, a place where the paint had long since peeled away, and the horses were nothing but wooden carcasses with hollow eyes. My stomach dropped. I told myself it was just my imagination, or maybe some kids sneaking in to mess around. But when I pointed my flashlight at the carousel, the horses moved. Not by much, just a twitch, a jerk of the neck, a slight tilt of the head, but enough that I knew I wasn't imagining it. The laughter grew louder. I backed away, heart pounding, and locked myself in the control shed like I was told. Inside, I sat in the dark, holding my breath, waiting. The laughter outside turned into screams, and then the Ferris wheel began to turn. Slowly, rust grinding against rust, no power, no electricity, yet its skeletal frame creaked as it rotated, and the shadows of figures, dozens of them, appeared in the carts. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. That was my first night, and I should have quit. But the money kept me there, and what I saw next made me realize I was never guarding the park. The park was guarding me. I thought maybe I had fallen asleep, that my mind had invented the laughter, the screams, the Ferris wheel grinding in the dark. But the next night, when I clocked in, the air was heavy, charged, as if the park itself was waiting for me. This time, I didn't walk far. I sat inside the shed with my flashlight off, staring at the crack under the door. And that's when I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate. They crunched on gravel, stopped just outside. My pulse roared in my ears. I leaned forward, careful not to make a sound. A shadow passed under the door. It wasn't shaped like a person. Too long, too thin. Its head brushed the top of the shed's frame. And then, a hand. No, not a hand. Something with claws scraped against the metal of the door. Long, slow scratches. Testing me. I gripped my flashlight so tightly my knuckles ached. The sound circled the shed, claws dragging, then stopping at the window. I didn't dare look. That's when the intercom system clicked on. The intercom hadn't worked in decades. The wires were torn, the speakers rotted, yet a voice hissed through the static. "Come ride with us." It was the voice of a child. No, many children layered together, all whispering the same words. I wanted to scream, but I pressed my hands against my mouth, shaking. The Ferris wheel began to turn again, faster this time. The air reeked of rust and smoke. And then, music. The carousel. Its broken speakers sputtered out a warped, crackling melody, like a lullaby playing backward. I knew if I left the shed, I was finished. But then the doorknob rattled. Something was trying to get in. I backed into the corner, flashlight raised like a weapon, heart hammering. And that's when I made the mistake of looking through the tiny window. They were out there. Dozens of them. Children. Or, at least, they had been children once. Their skin was gray, stretched tight over their bones. Their eyes glowed faintly, the same sickly yellow as the bulbs strung across the Ferris wheel. Their mouths opened too wide, teeth like splintered glass. They stood perfectly still, staring at the shed, waiting. And in the middle of them all, the keeper. I hadn't seen him before, but I knew instantly who he was. The man from the stories, the shadow that haunted the park. His face was gaunt, hollow, with glowing eyes burning like coals. He raised one skeletal hand and pointed directly at me. The children surged forward, pounding on the walls, the windows, the door. Their nails screeched against the metal. And then the lights inside the shed went out. For the first time in my life, I realized the money wasn't worth it. But it was already too late, because I finally understood. I wasn't trapped inside the shed. I was trapped inside the park. The pounding on the shed walls grew louder, relentless, until I thought the thin metal would crumple inward. My flashlight flickered and died in my hands. I was left in complete darkness, except for the faint glow seeping through the window, yellow eyes staring. I couldn't breathe. My chest locked tight, and then, just as suddenly as it started, the noise stopped. Silence. The kind of silence that presses against your skull, ringing in your ears. And then the shed door creaked open. I didn't touch it. I swear to you, it opened on its own. A sliver of moonlight slid across the floor, and standing in the doorway was him, the keeper. Up close, his presence was suffocating. His skin hung loose over sharp bones. His eyes burned like furnace embers. He didn't move like a man, more like a shadow wearing a body. "Why are you here?" My voice was barely a whisper. He tilted his head, and when he spoke, his voice wasn't a single voice. It was dozens, layered, deep and hollow, like the echo of screams buried under earth. "Because you belong here now." Behind him, the children moved closer. They didn't blink, didn't breathe, only stared with hollow hunger. I stumbled back, knocking over a rusted chair. No, I was just hired to watch the place. I don't belong here." The keeper stepped inside, the air around him freezing cold. I could see my breath clouding. He raised a hand, and in an instant, the shed melted away. I was standing in the center of the amusement park. The rides towered above me, lit by sickly yellow lights. The Ferris wheel spun faster and faster, screeching like metal tearing apart. The carousel horses moved, their eyes rolling, mouths snapping with jagged teeth. The smell of burnt sugar and rotting meat choked me. And then the laughter started again. Children's laughter, rising in a deafening chorus, circling me. Their bodies jerked as they approached, moving like broken marionettes. I tried to run. The exit gates were in sight, the rusted archway barely standing. But every step dragged, as if the ground itself wanted to hold me. The air thickened, heavy as tar. When I finally reached the gate, I slammed against invisible glass. A barrier. I clawed at it, pounded with my fists, screaming. On the other side, the world looked normal. Empty streets, the forest beyond. Freedom, so close I could taste it. Then a reflection appeared on the barrier. Not my face, his. The keeper stood inches away, but his reflection moved differently, a second ahead of his body, like time itself bent around him. "You were chosen," he hissed. "All who enter, stay." The children swarmed me, their cold hands gripping my arms, my legs pulling me down. I thrashed, begged, but they dragged me back into the park, deeper and deeper, until the gate and the world beyond vanished. The last thing I saw was the Ferris wheel, its lights flaring brighter, almost blinding. And above it, painted in the night sky, were the words burned into my skull: "Welcome home."